Hello and welcome to PMCLounge.com. In this video, we are looking at some practice questions for Agile. If you're preparing for your PMP exam, then of course this video is going to help you prepare for the Agile part. If you're preparing for PMI-ACP or CSM, then also this video is going to help you out. So let's get started. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this video is part 3 of Agile practice questions because we have done several videos and articles on Agile and we have covered some practice questions in the past as well. If you want to go over an entire playlist of all the videos that we have done on Agile, this playlist is going to be very helpful for your PMP, PMI, ACP, CSM. Then check out the links in the description. Also, if you're into reading articles, I'll share a link in the description below to a page that contains all the articles that we have done so far, neatly arranged. And these are your practice questions. This was part 1, this is part 2, and the present video that you're watching is part 3. So everything is neatly arranged. I'll share a link to this page as well. This is of course from our official website pmclounge.com. So you can check the description of this video for both the links. All right, let's kick things off with question number 1. With the help of Scrum planning tools, the Scrum teams take project decisions and then there is a blank. So you essentially need to complete this sentence. How does Scrum teams take project decisions? Do they take those decisions at the last responsible moment? Do they take decisions collectively, just in time, or as soon as possible? What do you think? The correct answer to this question is at the last responsible moment. The keyword here is responsible. We actually have done a video about this topic and I'll share a link to this video directly in the description below if you want to know more about how Scrum teams take project decisions at the last responsible moment. Like I said, the keyword here is responsible. The reason you want to be taking decisions at the last responsible moment is that you cannot make a lot of decisions upfront with the kind of knowledge that you have of the project. As you move along, you will get to know the project better. And that is why it is important to take decisions, to sort of delay the decisions a bit so that you have more idea about the project situation and then you will be able to take a better decision. So remember, taking the decision at the last responsible being the keyword here at the last responsible moment is actually an advantage that Scrum teams have over teams that work in predictive environments. Question number 2. You are the Scrum Master of a team that has started measuring the velocity. In the first 3 sprints that velocity was measured, the team recorded the following numbers: 31, 47, and 25. Based on these numbers, what is your conclusion about the team? A. Team has not been able to correctly measure the velocity. Possible because there's a lot of variance, right? 31, 47, 25. B, the velocity is evening out over multiple sprints. Well, I don't see that happening. 31, 47, and then 25. It is definitely not evening out. C, team has become drastically less productive from sprint 2 to sprint 3. Corrective actions are required, which is true. 47 to 25, you might feel that the team is becoming less productive, has become less productive from sprint 2 to sprint 3. And D, team is still determining the story point scale. So what do you think is the correct option here? Actually, the correct option is option D. In fact, it is very common for teams to have a lot of variance, to have these kind of numbers. And this is a good question, not just from the PMP exam point of view or ACP exam point of view, but also from your job interviews. As a Scrum Master, you are ought to know the fact that when teams start to measure velocity, which is what's happening here, right? If you read the question again, they've just started measuring velocity. So when they start to measure velocity, it is very common to have these kind of variances, and the team is still figuring out the kind of scale that they need to use to be able to estimate velocity, right? So it is important not to be alarmed when you see velocity numbers like these, when there's this level of variation. uh, the fact is, the goal that you have for measuring velocity is to make sure that the team is aware of how much they are delivering in each sprint, so that they essentially get better at figuring out how much they can deliver in the future sprints as well. That's the whole goal behind measuring velocity, right? So these variations that you see in the beginning are pretty common, and the correct answer to this question is that team is still determining the story point scale. Question 3, ESVP means, and this is very, very straightforward. We've done a video on ESVP in the past. I'll share a link to that video in the description below. If you've seen that video, if you've read about ESVP, you already know that the correct answer is not engineer, student, and vice principal. Engineer, system tester, validator, project manager, explorer, shopper, vacationer, practitioner. Now we are talking. And explorer, shopper, vacationer, and prisoner. The correct answer is option D, because that is what ESVP stands for. If you think this is something totally out of the blue and have no idea what ESVP is and why it is used, highly urge you to check out the video in the description, linked in the description below. Question number 4, identifying requirements on the basis of user stories is known as, and then there is a blank. So you need to fill out the blank, right? So complete the sentence. Identifying requirements on the basis of user stories is known as conversation, user story, product, card, conversation, confirmation, card, call, confirm, develop, test, document. The correct answer is card, conversation, and confirmation. It is a good way to remember that user stories cards are just reminders to talk to the people who have the information you need for building a story. And this is actually one way that Scrum teams use to value the face-to-face communication over comprehensive documentation. So the Scrum teams basically try to write down only what they need out of the conversations that they have about each user story card. So that is why card, conversation, and confirmation is something which is used to identify requirements of the user stories. Question number 5, which of the following is the best tool for root cause analysis? Ishikawa diagram, fishbone diagram, herringbone diagram, all of the above. Which of the following is the best tool for RCA? And this is sort of a trick question, because all three, Ishikawa, fishbone, herringbone diagram, all three are essentially representing the same concept, the same diagram. And so the correct answer is D, all of the above. Essentially, this is one tool. We have a few more questions to go, but a quick reminder, if you like our work and our free resources, consider contributing at pmclounge.com/contribute. Thank you very much. Question number 6, very, very straightforward. If you have been following us, you already know the answer. Which of the following best describes the Derby and Larson's retrospective method? ESVP, color code dots and short subjects. Explorer, shopper, vacationer, prisoner. ESVP sounds familiar, right? C, set the stage, gather data, generate insights, decide what to do. And D, plan, do, check, act, PDCA. So what do you think is Derby and Larson's retrospective method? The correct answer is option C. And even if you haven't been following our videos, even if you have never heard about Derby and Larson, you can still make out what you are supposed to do in a retrospective meeting, right? You need to set the stage, you need to gather data, you need to generate insights, and then you need to decide what to do. That is what Derby and Larson also proposed. Question 7, and this again is something, if you know, you already know, you don't even have to go over all the options. Which of the following is the most common way to write user stories? As a role, I want to action, so that what the benefit is going to be, right? So as a project manager, I want to do this so that I can complete my project, something of that sort, right? So is that how you write user stories? Or as a resource, I want to goal so that then there is a benefit, or as a persona, I want to achievement so that then there is some benefit. As a scrum master, I want to project phase so that velocity, right? What do you think is the right answer? And like I said, if you know, you already know, the correct answer is option A. As a role, I want to action so that whatever the benefit is going to be, right? So this is how user stories are essentially written. Question number 8: which acronym is often used to describe good user stories? Inspect, invest, confirm, and agile. Which of the following is the acronym that is most often used? The correct answer is B, invest. Invest essentially stands for independent, negotiable, valuable, estimatable, small, and testable. So a good user story should be all of it, right? So that is why this is one of the acronym that is very popular in the agile world. Finally, question 9: the total number of story points delivered in a sprint. Total number of story points delivered in a sprint. This is known as sprint increment, sprint iteration, sprint retrospective, or sprint velocity. Total number of story points delivered in a sprint. This is sprint velocity. We also saw numbers in one of our previous questions where we talked about how the team was measuring the sprint velocity, and those were just numbers. Those were essentially the story points that the team was delivering. So this is the definition of sprint velocity: the total number of story points delivered in a sprint. That's it. So that's all in this video. I hope you found these questions helpful and you were able to answer most of them correctly. If not, feel free to check out our videos and articles. Like, share, subscribe. If you like our work, consider contributing using the thanks button. Check out our website pmclounge.com, the number one free PMP and project management resource. Thank you.